And then closing your eyes just to feel your body from the inside, the weight of your pelvis, just how you're sitting. One, so that you can really tune into your body, tune into this moment. As well as really being able to know what your body's doing. Connecting your awareness to your movements. Letting your exhale lengthen. Gently press the breath out. Inhale slowly, letting the breath drop to the sitting bones, filling base of pelvis, bowl of pelvis, waist, and the circumference of the rib cage. Right, letting the breath have dimension. Again, exploring that inner space of the body. Inner movement of the body. Slightly longer exhale. And palms together in front of the heart. And again, just honoring any nourishment needed. And the ability to receive nourishment, whatever that means, however that shows up. Whether it's the sound of the birds or the way the sun shines through the trees. Or a connection with a friend. And let's inhale for one Om. Switching the legs forward. So grabbing blocks. 2 blocks. So I'm going to have them on the lowest height and wide. So they're perpendicular to the spine, right, wide across the mat. Then I'm going to lay up or back on the first block and head on the second block. Good, keeping my knees bent, my feet flat on the floor. So the shoulder blades should be able to rest on the block. And so there should be quite a bit of space between the pelvis and the block so that your spine can find its placement. Same with the neck, that there's enough, that the support is in the right space so the neck feels long, the waist feels long. Let's take the arms straight out to the side of the room, straight out from the shoulders. Good. If the hands can't quite settle to the floor, maybe tuck something under them if it's too much across the front shoulder and chest. And then really feeling your breath. Great movement. Right? Ideally, the body will respond, right? If the nervous system isn't agitated, the body will respond by softening, allowing the movement, relaxing hinge of jaw, throat, tongue, back of neck, front body, back body. Face, and feeling again the movement. So the movement of the ribs, creating space from the inside out, not just across the chest, but feeling the breath into back body against the block. Good. Let's take the arms up to the ceiling and then take the arms out. So in almost a Y shape. Shoulder blades heavy, ribs heavy, hips heavy. A gentle sense of reaching through the arms, through the hands. Again, the ideal is the body starts to soften into it, adapt. There's a nice fullness to the breath, especially in those back ribs. Exhale, still long and slow, complete. Good, and again, take the arms up to the ceiling, and then this time let's take the arms straight overhead. Arms parallel, arms overhead, go slow. And you can always bring something under the hands, a pillow, if this feels too challenging. Like that interesting balance between having this, part of the body hovering in space, softening into the movement it's creating. Like that there's an opening and a stabilizing happening in the system. An organization, an allowance. Again, breath filling out, back body. Back of neck, soft, jaw soft, tongue soft. So can you find clarity without bracing? If you can, you may again want to support your hands or come a little bit out. With that interesting play with gravity. And last breath. And then slowly bring the arms up. Let's take the arms straight out to the side again. Good. And then just gently roll to your side and even let the roll, right? You have that block behind you. So as you roll, go slowly enough so you get this interesting compression. Maybe even a roll, pretend to roll to one side and then come back to center and roll to the other side. So you get the compression across both sides of the back. And then rolling off the block. Slide the blocks out of the way and lay down on your back, knees bent. Okay, so let's take the arms out to the side into an X. Arms and legs away from the center line. So you're in an X shape. X marks the spot. Then I'm going to pull that right knee and right elbow towards each other. Right arm's going to slide along the floor. Right foot is going to slide along the floor. And I'm going to pull them towards each other. So I feel that engagement of the side waist. And it starts to pull me to the right. Left arm, left leg start to follow. And then I'm going to roll onto my right side and to curl up in a little ball. And then come out the way I came in. So reaching that right arm and right leg away from each other. So there's a little bit of a side bend here. Right side is still engaging, left side is lengthening. And then the pelvis starts to roll back to the floor. And then the limbs come back to where we started. Let's go the other side. Left elbow to left knee. Staying close to the floor, engaging that left side of the body, pulling the limbs to the left, and then curling onto your side in a little ball, and then reverse, and letting that right arm and right leg reach away from each other. They create that long arc, that stretch, that opening between pelvis and ribs, ribs and arm. Slowly roll the pelvis back to the floor and come back to your X. Okay, we're going to shift a little. Let's take that right arm straight out to the side, straight out from the shoulder, and left arm straight out to the side from the shoulder. So I'm going to initiate from the arm, left arm. I'm going to take that left arm up to the ceiling. Then it's going to start to pull across towards the right arm, left hand towards the right hand, right, which is going to turn the ribs to the right. Right, maybe there's a little help from that left leg, but that left arm is initiating, reaching to that right hand, even past the hand, turning the pelvis onto its side. Keep reaching. Left leg is starting to resist now. And then I'm going to keep turning pelvis onto its front. Right palm facing up. And maybe just play with taking that right shoulder towards the ear, down towards the hip, tiny movement. And up and down. And then I'm going to initiate from the leg. So left leg lifts, goes across the right leg, reaches to that back side of the room, left back corner, and pulls the pelvis back onto its side, back onto its back. Maybe that left arm slides along the floor, around the head to come back. Other side, right arm up to the ceiling, right arm across, reaching to the left hand. Again, turning the ribcage onto its side, turning the ribs towards the floor. Right leg's resisting just to get that nice rotation, side bend. And then pelvis rolls onto its front. Right, I'm facing the floor with my head, ribs, pelvis. And again, maybe kite shoulder to the ear and down. Just to get that opening across the upper arm, the back of the shoulder. And then from that right leg, lift the right leg, take it across towards the right side of the room. And over the left leg, reaching. Right arm starts to oppose right leg leads, turning the pelvis onto its side, onto its back. Right arm traces along the floor and comes back to where we started. Okay, then the legs. Now bring the arms alongside the body. And I'm going to bend my right arm. And I'm going to just anchor my feet anchor my heels especially so that I can allow the knees to pull towards the toes. Again, as that the weight shifts towards the feet, there's a little posterior tilt in the pelvis. The hips lift off the floor. Let's take the right arm up to the ceiling. And then keep pressing into the feet. Lift the hips. Let that right arm pull you up onto the left shoulder, over onto the left shoulder. So now I'm on the top of the shoulder and that right arm is reaching overhead towards the floor above me. And a bridge pose, a sideways twisted bridge pose. And then slowly roll down. Other side, left arm bends. Drop the heels down, step into the heels, send the knees to the toes, posterior tilt, lift the hips, lift that left arm. So I'm pressing into that right arm, lifting into that left arm, rolling over that right shoulder, back of shoulder, outer shoulder, top of shoulder. Left arm reaches overhead. Breathe, pause, and then slowly come down the way you came in. One more time, each side. Right arm bends, reaches, step into the feet, lift the hips, roll up and over onto that left shoulder, outer, then upper. Looking towards that right hand as it reaches past the top of your mat. And then slowly roll back. Other side, left arm up and over. Looking to the hand. Right, most of my weight is on my right shoulder and my feet. The rest of the body is supporting itself. And then roll down. And pause and breathe. Okay, roll to your side and come up to sit. This is how I clean the floor. Just roll around on it, put some washcloths underneath. Okay. All right. So sitting, I'm just going to sit cross-legged for a moment. And with just the sense of, just going to put one hand on my front lower rib cage and one hand on my lower belly. And I'm going to roll towards the front of my sitting bones. Right, so I'm arching my back, moving into extension, but I'm doing it from the pelvis. So as I roll towards the front of the sitting bones, notice the whole body moves, or the weight shifts forward. The spine moves forward, the front ribs move forward, breastbone moves forward, the back muscles engage. And then rolling back towards the back of the sitting bones, tailbone. So I'm now in a posterior tilt or a tuck or a rounded back. The spine moves back, the front ribs move back. And then rolling forward again and rolling back. And coming to a center point. Now initiating from the pelvis and just letting the ribs stay not rigid, but they're not following along. So roll to the front of the sitting bones. You're isolating the movement in the pelvis and rolling back. And rolling forward and rolling back. And rolling forward and back and center. And then initiating from your ribs. Let's again take the rib, the whole rib cage forward. Whole circumference of the rib cage forward. Spine, ribs wrapping around to the front and back and forward and back and forward and back. Last time, forward and back. So sometimes we move the pelvis and the ribs together, just play with that feeling. And sometimes we isolate parts, right? Pelvis or ribs. So the ideal is to know when you're doing it and why. So just a sense of ribs over pelvis, there's a relationship front of ribs to front of pelvis, back of ribs to back of pelvis. And I'm just going to turn a little to the right. Left hand on that right knee, right hand behind. So there's a sense of the circumference of the ribs still is quite full. Back ribs, side ribs, front ribs, as well as the pelvis. I'm not in a posterior or anterior tilt. I'm pretty neutral. Come back to center and to the other side. And back to center. Again, a little bit of an anterior curve or a little bit of an extension, and same thing, do a twist. Right, again, there's a little more fullness in the front of the rib cage, in the front belly. A little more engagement in the back body. And center and other side. And center. And then a little bit of a posterior. And we each favor one. Some of us favor posterior, some of us favor anterior. And again, little twists here. And center, and a little twist here, right? There's more fullness in the back body, more engagement in the front body. And come back to center. And we use each one maybe for different things, right? If we tend to always push forward, notice that. If your back muscles are always taut and your belly is loose, notice that and maybe try to play with finding a soft engagement through both. And so we are going to play a little bit with back bends today. So we are going to engage the back body, but just that sense of what is the front body doing? Where am I? What's my inclination? What am I leaning to? Okay, so let's take the legs out into a straddle. Upavista Konasana. And again, just notice where you are. Notice if you favor rolling to the front of the sitting bones and the ribs move forward, or you round and fall back. Hands behind you if you need that support. Good, so ribs somewhat neutral. I'm just gonna turn the ribs towards the right thigh. Belly button towards the right thigh. Maybe the left hip bone lifts off the floor a tiny bit, and then see if you can drop it. Weight that back leg. And center and over to the other side. Again, neither is right. We just use them for different things. Right, turning to the left. Belly button towards that left thigh. Maybe the right sitting bone lifts a little. Right, the pelvis starts to turn to the left. And then maybe drop that right sitting bone. Drop that right thigh. And come back to center. Okay, let's bend that left knee. Step on that foot. And then I'm going to bring the foot behind the thigh. So I'm in a virasana. If this is challenging for you, you can always sit more in Baddha Konasana. Or flex the foot and have the foot further away. Okay, so let's take left hand outside the left hip and right arm up to the ceiling and over to the left. Again, noticing, are the ribs pushing forward or are they pulling back? Can you lengthen the side body? Now let's actually turn towards the ceiling, which might ask for more of a back bend, or turn towards the floor, a little bit of a rounded back, and then come back through center, find both, and up and over to the other side. Right hand down, left arm up and over. Maybe that left sitting bone lifts again, and maybe it lowers. Feel what it does through the left side of the waist. Lift it, gets you up more up onto your right leg. Reach past the right leg with the left hand, maybe even fall over that right leg more. And then try to drop that left sitting bone down away from the ribs. and up and over to the other side. And up and over to the second side. And again, up and over. Good, let that right sitting bone lift. Let that right arm reach away from the right foot. And then drop that right sitting bone down. And then up and over to the right. Left arm reaching past that right foot. Left hip can be up, and then drop that left sitting bone down. Good. And then come back to center. Turn towards that right leg again. Tip forward over that right leg. Good. So that left sitting bone is off the floor. Start to unfold that left leg. Reach the left toes back. Reach, reach, reach. Maybe even start to straighten that left leg. Right, the knees turned in. Maybe start to turn the knee up towards the ceiling and sitting bone to the floor. Coming back to Upavista Konasana. Other side. So bending right leg. Tuck the foot behind. Good, right hand down, left arm up and over. And come up. And left hand down, right arm up and over. Again, turning towards the ceiling, maybe a little more back bend. Turning towards the floor, maybe a little forward bend. Maybe neutral. Up and over, right hand down, left arm up. Maybe the elbow starts to get closer to the floor, maybe. Again, looking up, a little bit of a back bend, maybe. Or turning towards the floor, a little rounded, more fullness in the back body. And then finding the place where both, there's a meeting, front body, back body. And up, first side, or second side, left side. And up, and over. And last time, up and over to the left. And come up, turn towards that left leg. Belly button turning so that I'm going to tip forward just a little. So that right sitting bone comes off the floor. There's more weight on the left leg. And then I'm just going to play with unfolding that right leg. You can point or you can flex, whatever gives you more control or support. And then again, the knee is turned towards the floor. Maybe straighten the leg with the knee turned towards the floor. A little bit towards the front split. And then turn the kneecap thigh towards the ceiling, coming a little more into Upavista Konasana. And come back to center. And then bend both knees. Good, hands behind you. I'm just going to play, taking both knees to the right. So feet somewhat close to the body. Left arm comes around, reaching around, turning to the right. Good. Maybe let the back be more available or wide, slightly rounded. And then come out, left hand down, right arm reaching across to the left. Again, slightly more rounded. And then again, turn to the left. This time left hip lifts off the floor. Take the left arm up, a little bit more available or opening in the front body. And then release and come back around. Much harder to find it here. Just naturally goes into a round shape. And one more time, a little bit more of extension. Left arm up, look up. Left hips off the floor. And then last time here, we're going to come around, reaching right arm to the left. And then this time as I come around, I'm going to plant my right hand down, lift up onto my shins, right, feet heavy. Send the hips forward. You can grab a block if you need to, put it under your hand, and send the hips forward. Walk that right hand back towards the foot, maybe, and arch back over that left leg. Slowly come down, knees up and over to the other side. Right arm reaching around to the left side. Again, a slightly rounded back. And then switch. Right hand behind you, left arm turns slightly rounded back. Right, left arm reaching to the right side. This time again, I'm going to come, right arm scoops up towards the ceiling. So the right hip starts to lift. Eyes lift, chest lifts. And then back out, come into that rounded shape, turning to the right. Okay, let's shift it. So now as I come forward, come up onto the knees, left hand is on the floor, right arm up to the ceiling. Maybe that left hand walks back towards the right foot. Send the hips forward. Lay back over that left hand and right leg. And then slowly lower down. Okay, so hands behind or arms in front. You can do it from your legs. Turn to the right. Right hand down, come up onto the knees, left arm up. Again, arching back. Good, maybe that right hand comes closer to that left foot. Reach the left arm back to the wall behind you. Slowly lower down. Shift the legs up and over, knees up and over to the left. Come up onto your shins. Left hand behind. Either right arm up to the ceiling or lay back. Reach that right arm to the wall behind you. And then again, slowly, slowly draw the hips back. One more time, each side. Knees up and over to the right. Lift. Right hand towards the left foot. As much as you can. Hips forward. Lay back over that left leg. And come up. Slow it down. Slow the descent down. Knees up and over to the other side. Lift up onto your shins. Left hand down. Right arm up and over. Lay back. A little bit of an Ustrasana feeling. And then coming up and sitting back slowly. Okay, so simple child's pose just for a moment. Good, letting your exhale lengthen. Knees wide, toes together. Simple walk, hands to the right. Left hip drawing away from left hand. And slide the arms across, other side. Right hip sliding away, reaching away from the right hand. And back to center. Walk the hands in and round up. Okay, so let's grab blocks again. 2 blocks, lowest height at the top of your mat. Okay, so hands on blocks. And let's take the knees up and back, downward dog. So palms heavy, inner feet heavy, inner hands heavy, shoulder blades heavy on the back. Good, let's step that right foot forward to the outside of the blocks. Lower the hips down. Good, so back knee is off the floor, back thigh is lifting, but the hips are coming down and forward. I'm even gonna come up onto my fingertips. Shift more weight forward into the front leg and back and forward. Good, hands down, downward facing dog. Left foot outside the blocks. Let the hips lower. And maybe even up onto fingertips. So as that back thigh stays lifted, the sitting bones come down and forward. Even shift forward and back and shift forward. Hands down, step back, downward dog. One more, right foot outside of the blocks, back knee down. Good. And again, I'm just going to let my weight shift forward and let this almost roll onto the top of the kneecap. Lift the back foot. Let's take that right arm forward and up and back. Reach for the left foot without grabbing it. Pull the foot towards the hand past the foot. And right arm up and back down. Curl the left toes under. Lift the back thigh, keep the hips low. Almost like you're an upward facing dog on one side. Hips up and back, downward dog. Left foot forward. Hips down, back knee down. Again, walk maybe the back knee back, roll forward above to the skin above the kneecap. Pick up the back foot. Left arm up, turn to the left. Reach that left arm back towards the right foot. Foot towards hand, hand towards foot. Left arm up and back. Pick up that back knee. Again, keep the hips low. Eyes forward if you can. Downward dog. Okay, so feet together. Let's take that right leg back and up. And so you're in a three-legged pose, three-limbed pose, hands and left foot. Good, let's take that right toe tips to the floor. So I'm still in a three-legged pose, and I'm just gonna slide my body in towards a plank as I take that right leg and trace it along the floor, around, out and around and forward. So my right leg is straight, right? Let's actually trace back. So pressing into the hands, into the left foot, lightly trace that right leg back, foot to the floor, downward dog. Feet together, left leg back and up. Right foot, hands. Good. Lower left toe tips to the floor. Keep that same relationship. So as I shift towards a plank, I'm going to let that left leg slide around, out and around towards the left hand. Put the foot on the floor, pause, and then trace back. Feet together, come back to downward dog. Let's try that one more time. Right leg back and up, lift that left heel, reach that right leg to the ceiling, and then again, bring toe tips to the floor. Shift forward towards a plank as that right leg traces along the floor, out to the side of the room, forward. And this time I'm gonna let that right leg keep going forward towards a very sideways Hanumanasana. The right leg's moving out to the side rather than straight forward. And then press into the hands, trace the leg around, feet together, hips up and back, downward dog. Okay. Other side, feet together, left leg up and back. Lift that right heel, reach through that left leg. So as I come forward to plank, or left toes to the floor, sorry. As I come forward to plank, the body's still organizing like 2 feet are on the floor. Left leg traces around, left foot comes towards the left hand, and then slides off to the left, almost like a Y shape. Back knee off the floor, pause, look forward, press into those hands, and then slide that leg back, feet together, hips up, downward dog. Good. Back knee to the floor. I know, it's a lot. Okay. So I'm going to take, let's do, I guess we'll take left foot. So I'm going to take that left block and put my foot where the block is, and take the block and put that block back by my right foot, inside of the foot. And then come up for a moment. So letting both sitting bones drop here, letting both the front ribs and the sacrum drop. So there is that sense of ribs not pulling back and gripping in the belly, or ribs not pushing forward and gripping in the lower back. That there's a meeting, front body to back body. And I'm just going to let my weight shift forward, like letting that front hip open. So the sitting bones are still moving down and forward. And then as I shift back, I'm going to think about bringing the left hand to that block by inside the right foot. And you can bring the foot, or sorry, the block closer if you need less. But left hand comes to that block, right arm up to the ceiling, and send the hips forward again. Sitting bones forward. And come up, shift my weight onto both feet, shift forward again. Sitting bones move forward first. Shift back. Left arm finds the block, right arm up. Shift forward. Lay back over that right leg. Shift back. Bring the arms up. Shift forward. Maybe both arms come up. Lift up through back ribs, side ribs, front ribs. Shift back one more time. Left hand comes back to the block. Right arm to the ceiling. Shift forward. Lay back over that right leg. And shift up. So right hand comes to the block now. Curl the back toes under. Lift that back knee. So right hand on the floor. So I'm going to turn away from that right hand. Turn towards the left thigh. Left arm up to the ceiling. Rotated lunge. And then let that left hand come to the floor outside of that left foot. Turn that right heel in and down. I just lost my block. That's fine. Right arm up to the ceiling. Extended side angle variation. So I'm taking that right arm overhead, full pose. And then let that right hand come down towards the left foot, round the back. Reach the right hand towards that right foot, and then back up to the ceiling. From that round back, up into a little more extension. Again, feeling both the length and width in back body, front body, right arm overhead. Both hands to the floor. Step back, downward dog. Knees to the floor. Okay, so block goes on left side of the mat. Shift right foot forward and tall block inside that left foot. And come up onto right foot, left top of foot, left shin and knee. Again, both sitting bones heavy, right? Notice if that right hip is lifting, right sitting bone heavy, and shift forward. Both sitting bones down and forward. A little bit of a jousting lunge. And then shift back, right hand towards that block, left arm up, shift forward again. Almost like an Ustrasana feeling in that front hip. Sitting bones move forward, lay back over that left leg. And come, shift the hips back to come up, and then shift the hips forward. Maybe both arms come up to let the sacrum drop, sitting bones drop. Shift back, right hand down, left arm up and back. Shift back to come up, shift the hips forward, arms up again. Last time, shift back, right hand down, left arm up, lay back over that left leg. And up. Shift forward, left hand down, curl the back toes under, lift the back thigh, extended or rotated lunge, rotated lunge. And then turn, right hand comes to the floor, left heel in and down, left arm up, extended side angle. Left arm overhead, full pose. Turn, bring that left hand to the floor. Again, find the roundness in the back. Reach that left hand back to the left foot, and then swoop it up to the ceiling. Look up, reach back, and over. Good, both hands to the floor. Downward facing dog. Good, both feet wide. Good, let's take the right foot, wrap it around the left ankle, pull the hips back and to the left. Look under that right arm. Step the right foot to the right side of the mat, left leg around the back. Pull the weight back and to the right. Turn and look under that left arm. Maybe right heel heavy. And then step the left foot back to the left side. Hips back towards the back of the mat. Heels heavy. But sitting bones light. Back of the pelvis light. Good, knees down. Buttocks to your heels. Okay, so let's come onto our bellies. So if you need cushion under your pelvis, just lay your mat down, or your blanket down on your mat if you don't have enough cushion. All right. And lay on your belly. Okay, so let's take the arms overhead. Good. And then I'm going to initiate from my right leg. So I'm going to take that right leg. So as I lift the right leg, just feel what happens. Pubis gets heavy. Let's actually take the arms out to the side. It'll be easier. So as I lift that right leg, some weight can come into that right hand. Right leg lifts, comes across the left leg. Reaching, pulling the pelvis again onto its side. Maybe touch toes to the floor. So I'm going to turn my head, look towards that right hand, but keep reaching that left hand away. Maybe right foot comes to the floor. Maybe even slide the right foot further away, but move the hips as if back to the floor. And then again, turning. Let's take that right arm, reach it up now, pulling me back onto my pelvis. Right leg resisting, but following. Other side, left leg up and across to the right. Over that right leg, head turns to the left, but that right arm keeps reaching. Right arm is straight, so I'm getting that front shoulder. Bend that left leg, foot to the floor. Step into that left foot, but let the hips then turn back to the floor. Maybe even lift that right palm up. And then reach with that left arm away, maybe straighten that left leg, reach the left arm away, left leg resists. Roll back onto the back. Okay, so reaching arms forward, legs back. Let's bring the knees, walk the knees almost away from, let's bend the knees and walk the knees away from the pelvis and drop the pubis. And then straighten the legs, keep the pubis heavy. Get some breath into the lower back. That sense of length between back of head and sacrum. And then slowly bend the knees again. Keep that length. Let's reach the arms around behind. Grab the ankles. Pull the shins back, knees back towards the back of the room. And lift the legs up to lift the arms up. Lift the arms up to lift the legs up. Lift the eyes up to lift the spine up. And lift the legs up again. Lower down. Reach the legs back. And the arms forward. Breathe. Again, keeping that sense of long back body from back of head to back of pelvis. Bend the knees, pubis stays heavy. Arms reach around, grab the ankles or feet. Again, knees, shins, feet, pull back now. Sitting bones are still heavy into the backs of the legs. Lift the arms up, eyes up, legs up, toe tips. And slowly lower down. Extend the legs, arms overhead. Okay, let's roll onto our backs. Okay, last thing. So use anything that you need. If you need to be close to a wall and your hands up on blocks, right, with your hands on blocks that are supported at the wall, then do that, right? Lifting the hands onto the blocks gives the legs more work and the hands less work. I'm just going to do this here in the center of the room, but I'm going to bring my hands by my shoulders and my hands wide. So my hands are as wide as my mat. And you can even let your feet be as wide as your mat. But walk your feet close in so your feet are under you. And I'm just going to shift my weight. Actually, I'm going to lift my heels up, shifting my weight towards the balls of the feet. And then shifting my knees past my toes. Again, that little posterior tilt. Scooping, right? Press into the hands, press into the feet. Scoop those sitting bones up, thighs up. Roll the rest of the spine up. And then keep the heels lifted. Roll back down. You can always drop the heels for a moment when you're up. And come on down. Then take your arms overhead. Wiggle your fingers. And let's do it one last time. One last time. Even if you don't come all the way up, getting the organization or the understanding through the limbs. Right, hands by the ears, fingers turned slightly out, which keeps the elbows in, which relates the arms a little bit more to the shoulder blades rather than the elbow bicep connection. Okay, feet can be wide. heels up. Shift your weight towards your feet. So shins move past your toes, knees past your toes. Let that pull of the thighs towards the feet pull you into a posterior tilt. Press into the hands and the feet. And if that's all you get, that's great. But keep pressing into the feet, into the hands. Try to scoop the hips up to lift the spine. Push into the floor with those arms. And then slowly come down. Lay on your back. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Arms away from your body. Feel your breath. Okay. So I'm just going to grab my block and my blanket. Actually, let's use 2 blocks instead of a blanket. So I'm going to use 2 blocks. I've done this before. So ideally, they're aligned like this on the mat, right? So that the top part of the block close to the body is angled in, and the part further down towards the hip is angled out, so that this inner triangle space follows the line of the, that doesn't make any sense, follows the line of the pelvis. So again, this inner, so this shape, right, this upper triangle follows the edge of the sacrum. So blocks on the floor, press into the feet. Again, that slight posterior tilt. I'm just sliding the blocks under me. Angle down towards the feet. So the blocks, that edge of the blocks is wide to accommodate the width of the top of the sacrum. You'll feel as it gets closer to the tailbone, it should be narrower. I'm not on the bone of the sacrum, I'm just off the edge of the sacrum into the tissue. You can put hands on blocks, lift the ribs up, slide the ribs away from the pelvis. And just letting the pelvis get heavy so that the blocks move through the tissue easily, right? So softening. Again, let your exhale lengthen so your tissue feels soft. So you feel the tissue in the back of the pelvis, the glutes, and the lateral rotators on the right side, on the left side, allowing the block in. And then let's take feet together, knees apart. Again, if the top of the sacrum starts to peel away from the floor, you can always pick up the ribs and slide them away from the pelvis. Either hands on ribs, which may widen the shoulder blades, widen the back. Even feeling the back of the head soften back into the floor, soft, wide, allowing the face to soften and widen, chest, Also settling back into the back of the ribs, just softening. Softening the tissues even inside the ribs, the lungs, and the heart. Softening the belly back. And after all that work, just the sense of allowing the body to re-find its center with that input. And bring the knees back towards center, feet more parallel, thighs parallel. Then feel the whole right hip, thigh, lower leg, foot relax. Same with the left side, left hip, thigh, lower leg, foot relax. Good. Press into your feet, lift your hips up, and I'm just going to slide my blocks down under my thighs. You can even angle the blocks the other way, right? So they're slightly turned out, right? Or follow the line of your thigh. Follow what feels right. Maybe keeping the hands on the body just to feel your animal body, your belly soften. Just as if any part of you that has been a little displaced or confused can gently find its way back home. Calling yourself back home. And if there's anything that you're carrying that is no longer yours to carry or doesn't belong to you, gently, gracefully, easily, kindly, let it be released, clean and cleared, and returned as a gift to where it belongs. Not needing to push anything away, just allowing it. A gentle process of releasing what isn't yours when you're ready. Feeling the fullness of who you are. All of that beauty and wisdom. Your offerings, your gifts, your presence. All of it. parts you like, the parts you don't like, the parts that are changing. And gently and slowly moving fingers and toes, arms and legs. Moving slowly. As if weaving that inner world with the outer world. And gently, gently roll to your side and come up to sit. And finding your breath. Exhale, slow, 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 slow. Inhale, slow, 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 slow. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slight pause. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slight pause. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slight pause. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pause. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pause. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pause. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pause.